As producer Jack Lauderay just said, H-Town, hold it down. I'm Will Scott. Welcome in to Texans Today by Chat Sports. We got our first ever mailbag here on today's show. We appreciate Renard Jones asking our first question. What's up, bro? Do you think there is a QB competition, or is Stroud the starter already? This is a really good question. I think C.J. Stroud's QB1. You take him number 2 overall. You also have Davis Mills, Case Keenum on this team. Perry might be the practice squad quarterback. Right now he's your 4th quarterback after signing him a couple months ago. I don't think they're going to name a starter immediately because they don't want to just give the job to C.J. Stroud. They want him to earn it in training camp. But there is no way that C.J. Stroud is not going to be your week 1 starter. This is absolutely the guy that is going to be under center for the Texans in week 1. And should be under center. Had a phenomenal career at Ohio State. Over 40 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, over 3,600 yards. He will start week 1 for the Houston Texans. We're going to learn that schedule next week. But I can just about promise you that C.J. Stroud will be the week 1 starting quarterback. Now, are they going to come out tomorrow and say that? No. But he is going to be the guy. They want him to earn the job in camp. He will relatively easily. Will C.J. Stroud start week 1 for the Texans? Type Y for yes or in for no down in the comment section. Go down and let me know. Will C.J. Stroud start week 1? I think it's a pretty easy yes from me. Caleb, what's up, man? What is C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson's ceiling / pro comp? This is another really good question. We'll start with C.J. Stroud here, Caleb. I think Stroud's ceiling is a multi-time Pro Bowler. I think this guy can make the Pro Bowl year after year, be a top-tier, top 10, let's say, starting quarterback in this league, and I think he can be really good. I think his pro comp is Joe Burrow, and here's why. They have a similar build. So you have Burrow, he's 6'4", 216 pounds. Stroud is 6'3", 218 pounds. So similar height, similar weight, similar throwing motion. Both are very accurate. Both have a strong arm. Both really had a successful college career. You could, I guess, also say both guys were at Ohio State, even though Joe Burrow did play at Ohio State and played LSU, won a natty there. But I really do look at C.J. Stroud. He does remind me of Joe Burrow. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and beat Joe Burrow. I think he can be really good, but Joe Burrow is a top 3 quarterback in the league right now. But when I do watch C.J. Stroud play, there's a lot of similarities to Joe Burrow, who is obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, probably the second best quarterback behind Mahomes right now. Man, so if C.J. Stroud is anything like Joe Burrow, the Texans are going to be obviously very thrilled with that pick. As for Will Anderson, his ceiling is through the ceiling, literally through the roof. This guy is going to be maybe the best player at his position. Might be a hot take, but I think he's going to be that good just based on what he did at Alabama. I think his pro comp is Khalil Mack. And when you look at what Khalil Mack did early in his career when he was still in his prime, he had 15 sacks in his second season with 23 tackles for loss. I think Will Anderson can put up those type of numbers early on in his career. I really do. Will Anderson's an absolute stud. Texans very lucky to get him as well. I still can't believe the Texans got both. I mean, I felt like I was dreaming on draft night. You get your franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who the more I watch of in terms of film, I think he's going to be really good. And then you get Will Anderson, who is probably the best player in this draft class, offense or defense. So couldn't be more thrilled that the Texans got both guys. Chris, what's up, man? Thanks for the question. How many games will the Texans win this year? That's another good question. I think the Texans are going to exceed expectations. When you look at this roster, and people are going to point to the draft when they're talking about record predictions. I'm looking at the entire offseason that started with the hire of D'Amico Ryans, that then went to the hire of Bobby Slowick as the offensive coordinator, that then went to the moves they made in free agency, and then the draft. This was an eventful offseason. The Texans got better at head coach. They got better with their coordinators. They got better across the board in terms of just talent. So this Texans team is going to be much better. They only won 3 games last year. I think this is a 7 or an 8-win football team that might be in the playoff picture late in the season, which might surprise a lot of people if the Texans can win that number of games. How many games will the Texans win this year? I think 7 wins. I think we'd be happy with that. That'd be a step in the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and say 7-10, but I can see this team winning 8 games, maybe being in playoff contention late. But let me know down in the comment section, predict it. How many games will Houston win in 2023? Big Bob Johnson, what's up, man? Did we give up too much to get Will Anderson? Let's take a look at what the Texans gave up here. Texans got the number 3 overall pick, which they used obviously on Will Anderson. They also got a 4th-round pick, which they then traded for more picks. The Cardinals receive a 1st-round pick in this year, number 12. Next year, and then a 3rd-round pick next year as well. And then they got the 2nd-round pick this year. So they gave up a lot to get Will Anderson. But Will Anderson, like I said, probably the best player in this draft class, had 34.5 sacks in his career at Alabama, 58.5 tackles for loss, over 200 tackles in his Alabama career. So they really wanted him. I think the front office was split on taking him or Stroud at 2, but there was a route to get both, and they got both. I'll say this. If Anderson is what I think he'll be, which is maybe a future Hall of Famer level good, the trade will be well worth it. If he has anywhere close to the production that, let's say, J.J. Watt had in his career with the Texans, which is, I think he can do that. This trade will be well worth it. Also, this trade's going to be worth it if you do win, like I said, 7 or 8 games. It's not a top 10 pick because right now, all the mock drafts you're looking at next year have the Cardinals having the number 2 or number 3 overall pick. The Texans are going to be much better than that, in my opinion, at least. I think they'll win more games than people expect, and I don't think that draft pick's going to be as high. What would be sweet, because the Texans chose to give the Cardinals their own first over the Browns first. Texans do have that Browns first-round pick again next year. That would be sweet if the Texans made the right call, giving up their own pick instead of Cleveland's pick. Carter Boykin, what's up, man? Any shot we trade or cut Davis Mills? Man, I haven't really seen a whole lot of people talking about that, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. Case Keenum is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. So having him be QB3, I just don't know if that's going to happen. Now, Davis Mills, I don't think he's going to have any trade interest. But, yeah, I mean, he could be cut. He was a 3rd-round pick a couple of years ago, but I don't think his dead cap would be that big. I do think it is possible that the Davis Mills could get cut. I really do think that's a possibility here. Will Davis Mills be on the team in 2023? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Down in the comment section. I think the Texans would be fine with keeping him around, but a lot of NFL teams, if not most teams, like to carry 2 quarterbacks on that initial 53 in case Keenum's not getting cut. So Davis Mills, probably a better chance than people think that he's not going to be on the team next year. Ben Jones, what's up, man? Who is our best value draft pick? I'll give my thoughts here in a second, but actually Todd McShay chimed in on this week. Here's what he said. He said C.J. Stroud. Stroud was QB2 on my board behind Bryce Young, but he is the best pure pocket passer in this class. Yes, we saw signs of his potential as a more mobile quarterback during the college football playoff matchup with Georgia, but he thrives when he's able to make accurate on-time throws from the pocket. I see spectacular touch, a smooth delivery, and really good trajectory on deep shots. And he doesn't make many bad decisions, throwing just 6 interceptions in each of the past 2 seasons while tossing 40-plus touchdown passes in both of those campaigns. The Texans got it right, taking C.J. Stroud at 2. And I know that was a polarizing question amongst Houston fans leading up to the draft. Who should they take it to? Y'all know watching my show that I was saying C.J. Stroud from the jump. They got Stroud and they got Anderson. That's a win-win for the Texans. But my best value draft pick is Henry To'oTo'o here. You get him in the 5th round. This was one of the best players in the entire country when he was at Alabama. 15.5 tackles for loss the last 2 seasons, 6.5 sacks, was a leader on that Alabama defense. It kind of reminds me of D'Amico Ryans when he came out of Alabama. So this was a great pick, and I think D'Amico had a lot to do with this pick. Best value pick for the Texans. Let me know down in the comment section. In your opinion, who was the best value pick? Tank Dell was a steal. Xavier Hutchinson was a steal. I mean, a lot of steals across the board here when you're talking about the Texans draft. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Houston Texans news and analysis. The more subs we get, the more content you get.